Yeah, buddy. Woo! Our man Groovy Beats just throwing it down for 18 straight weeks.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for. The 2020 NFL Legendary Football Pool. Hello, everyone. Once again, back by popular demand, it's your commissioner of the NFL 2021 Legendary Football Pool. And it gives me great pride. It gives me great honor to introduce the world's greatest co-host of a live football pool segment in the history of the universe, Mr. Samuel Ennis.
Yes, we're here on week 18, Johnny-O. We've made it through the whole regular season, baby, with no difficulties at all. It's just been smooth sailing the whole way. You know, honestly, at the beginning, I didn't know if we were going to make it the whole 18 weeks, as this is the longest regular season in NFL history, but we're here. We finished with a great game, too, with the Chargers facing the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders winning in overtime and making it to the playoffs. And that's where we're on next, Johnny, is to the playoffs. But there were some people who did a really great job in the last week of the season. They've been picking strong for the whole year, but this week was probably their best week picking.
My goodness, you said it best. There was some heavy competition, but this gentleman coming out of the woodworks, maybe not mentioned as much as he'd like to have been, but mentioned in the week that matters most, the week before the playoffs, because how you end the week of the regular season sets the tone for the playoff weeks, and there's some money to be won in the playoff weeks, $50 a week, all the way to the Super Bowl. And Paul here knows that, and I hear everyone else knows that as well, given Sammy's let everyone know about the potential winnings still to come. Paul here, 24 points in week 18. My goodness.
Congratulations, runner-up. He did pick the Chargers, and if the Chargers could have squeaked out the W, then he could have been possibly the winner. But we would have been tied with this guy, the professional picture and the professional picker, Jay Pint, Mr. Pinto, just been working his way up every single week, ladies and gentlemen. And this guy, like I said, most professional sharp picture we have up on the Legendary Football Pool right now. And second place, almost winning the week, Jay Pint with 24 points.
My goodness, you said it best. Sharp-dressed man. In the picture that we put on the segment, he is always looking very pristine. So the best-dressed gentleman and the best pick-making gentleman, except for this particular gentleman, in week 18. And there can only be one. As Samuel often is heard to say, there can only be one. And this gentleman also won a week in last year's pool. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, also won the first week of last year's pool. Hello, everyone. Once again, back by popular demand, it's the commissioner of the 2020 NFL Legendary Football Pool. And I just thought I'd come on quick here to announce our Week 1 and current champion, Mr. Brandon Kirk. And I have the great pleasure of being with Brandon, and I'd asked him just to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about what he does, and asked him what his favorite superhero is. Now, Brandon.
Hello, 2020 NFL Draft comrades. Exciting to win Week 1. Wanted to introduce myself. My name is Brandon. Yes, I am a investment and insurance extraordinaire, but also my favorite superhero is Superman. And that is exactly what my guy on Pittsburgh, Chase Claypool, was able to do, pull up the win for him. We actually used to be neighbors, so excited to see what week 2 to 16 here. Thank you guys.
Absolutely wonderful to hear from our current Week 1 and season champion, Brandon Kirk. A special shout out to our runner-up, Mark Everlandis, tailing behind him at 24 points. But an exciting, amazing 26 points from our Week 1 winner. Now winning the last week of this year's 2021 edition, financial extraordinaire, the one, the only past neighbor to Chase Claypool. Go Steelers, clinching the playoffs. Gotta love to see that. Thank you, Jaguars. But more specifically, thank you, Brandon Kirk. We have him here. Let's get him on here. Let's get him. He's got something to say.
End of the season.
End of the season comes up with the win. Man, by day, we're working with financial advice, and by night, we're killing it on the fantasy and killing it on the picks. Thank you, Johnny, for getting me involved again. 2 out of 2 years, we win a week. So loving it. Beat on the big screen, beat on the big stage, and take it home. You bet, baby.
Comes up with the win.
Being on the big screen, on the big stage, you couldn't say it. You couldn't say it better. That's for certain. It is the big stage, the world's greatest NFL legendary football pool, and Brandon Kirk accomplishing one of the greatest accomplishments this world has to offer, winning a week of the legendary football pool, not just last year, but this year as well.
And yeah, that's a long 2 years, Johnny, bookending the first week of last year to the last week of this year. So that means he's been putting in the work for 2 straight years to be able to get that kind of production coming out. So congratulations on a good week there, Mr. Kirk. I think it actually helped move him up the standings a little bit, because that's what really matters, is if you have a good week, it could really boost your chances to be able to get into the top 7, which is, you know, the money, honey. So with that being said, let's talk about the people who have been doing a good job for 18 straight weeks to put themselves in the money if the season was to end today. But we all know, as I've been mentioning, that we do pick throughout the playoffs, the divisional, the championship rounds, all the way to the Super Bowl. So you do have the chance to be able to win $50 every one of those weeks. So make sure you do get your best picks in. Also, because it could help move you into the top 7. We only have 13 games remaining to be able to pick, starting with this wild card weekend. So with that being said, without further ado, we're going to talk about the 7th place participant at this point, Coach Cause 21, with 302 points, rolling into the playoffs. Congratulations, Coach Cause. Right now, you'd be in the money. Hopefully, you can hold on to that spot.
Oh my goodness. Very, very, very well put, Sammy. Coach Cause living up to his reputation, picking strong as expected, but maybe not as expected. A gentleman that's maybe past successes have not been quite as triumphant as they are this year. And with 304 points, the most up-to-date head of the Korean segment, Edward Koo, surpassing Charles Kim in the overall standings and cementing himself as our 6th place current overall finalist. Eddie Koo, a little fire under his belt, wasn't too pleased after Charles Kim won the week there, and I said he was the head of the Korean segment. Kim Taco, Charles Kim representing the Korean segment of the pool. We got Wilson So, Ed Koo, and Sonny Jung. They're all sitting at home wishing they were number 1 in the Korean world for pick making, but not this year, not so far. Charles Kim, and shots fired all over the place. Lots of rivalries brewing, Korean rivalries.
Number 1, Sam, talks too much. Number 2, Joe, he talks way too much. Number 3, Cruz, he talks a lot too. And number 4, Tyler, he doesn't really talk. Have a great day, guys.
He wanted to go to the season leading rankings, and he wants to prove himself as the remaining head of the Korean segment of the legendary football pool from past years.
We're going to have to see what the Kimchi Taco has to say about that, if he can pick his socks up to be able to get in the money and pass his fellow countryman. With that being said, we have a guy we've been talking about all year. He's a Cowboys fan, so I'm hoping that we get to see this guy in the playoffs coming to Green Bay to play at the frozen tundra. He asked me, he said, Sammy, do I still have a chance to be able to take number one? And I told him, of course you do. You're high enough up there, Mr. Matheson. Feed the Zeke with 310 points, puts him only 10 points out of first place and the big money, baby.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Couldn't have said it better. But speaking of feed the Zeke, I'm going to feed the ego of this gentleman because we already talked about him. We're going to talk about him more. Not only is he a sharp-dressed guy, but he is a great pick maker. Not only finishing strong as a runner-up in Week 18, but also our fourth place overall season leader, Jared Pinto, Jake Pint, 312 points. Well done.
Mr. Pinto, some of the contestants aren't going to be happy that we found you this year because you're taking money out of somebody's pockets. With that being said, we're going to move on to Coach Fireman Joe 272. I know he asked in the chats, he said, is it over? He thought it was over. He thought he lost his first place position. He did lose his first place position, but it's not over, and he still got the chance to be able to pick his socks up for 3-4 more weeks here. We had Joe 272 with 314 points, only 6 points out of first place.
And if there is one person to see a little bit of sunshine come through the dark clouds of last week, that was Alexander Michi, because Joe really stuck it to him, but he didn't let it stick. He regained the lead on Coach Joe, cementing himself in a position to potentially live up to the name as the champion that I've been calling him all year long. He doesn't like that. He said I jinxed him. I don't think I've jinxed him. Anyone that's won a week in this legendary football pool is a champion in my books, because that is the greatest accomplishment this lifetime has to offer. Being a champion of the league is a different story, though, and I certainly think he has a tremendous opportunity to get his name on the first ever Glenn Neff Trophy being assembled and made as we speak to be put for the 2021 year on that trophy. Would look good on Alexander Michi. So let's see if he can do it. But currently tied, and the runner-up to, and as Samuel will say, there can only be one.
Yes, Mr. Mickey, just like the Green Bay Packers did not want to take his foot off the gas in the last week of the year, he put up a whopping 24 points to put himself back into a tie for first place with this gentleman who also has 320 points. He's been active in the chats. He's been letting us know how he feels about things, and he's been letting us know who he thinks is the best teams to pick each week. And he's been the most consistent picker all year. Strider Strong, ladies and gentlemen. And I know for a fact that our commissioner here is sweating it out a little bit if Mr. Strider Strong wins the first ever Glenn Neff Trophy, because that's a big boy. So the shipping costs all the way to the nation's capital might be a little bit off than he thinks he could chew. But not Strider Strong. He's been biting off the perfect amount every single week with 320 points. He wants his name on that official Glenn Neff Trophy that we do have getting minted right now. So great job, Strider. You've been doing great picks all year, and we're happy to see it come down to the wire these last 13 games that are going to be remaining for everybody to pick. So I just want to let everybody know, if you're in the top probably 20, you still got the chance to be able to move yourself into the top 7 and into the money so that you don't go home empty-handed. I hope that means you've won a week or two, so that same thing. And if not, I hope you just got a little bit of fun watching me and Johnny try to make our professionals out of ourselves.
Professionals, well, we have one professional host, and that's definitely our co-host, because you've been an absolute delight, Sammy, and super impressed with your hosting abilities, to say the least. You really have put me to shame all year, but you get 4 more weeks to put me to shame, which is outstanding. And also making an even better week for Strider Armstrong, not only finishing the regular season as number 1, but also getting to witness his Raiders also get another 4 opportunities potentially to win some weeks here. So congratulations, Strider. And Samuel, what are you thinking? Are you going to send us off here?
You know, I just like to say I'm happy that I don't get to watch the Packers this week on the wild card weekend, because they were the number 1 team with the number 1 player, and we got the number 1 chance. We're going to the soup this year, and we're bringing it home. Campbell's, baby. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
My hand or a go? Just like if the quality is good. So when Adriana gives me the signal, then I'll give you the signal. There we go.